Hello, hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. So today's topic is going to be the latest iteration of the summon pool, specifically the Savage Summon Pool 2 for 2025. So when you see or hear the term Savage Summon Pool, you know that means there's a bunch of nukers going on, and of course, because the collaboration with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is still ongoing, you have the headline champion being Raphael. Yes, he was offered up as a guaranteed event recently, but for those of you potentially like myself who didn't go for that, you might have another chance or a chance to get a duplicate, depending on how you want to play it, of getting him before he goes away. But in terms of all the other legendaries, honestly, this is a pretty decent mix of really good quality nukers. Rhodos, of course, one of the best single target snipers in the game. Thor, really great AoE damage dealer. You got Crowcat, obviously kind of taking over Hydra when you have Packmaster with them. Cheshire Cat, great nuker, strong A1, really synergistic kit. Balar the Lost, kind of a trial demon for Chimera, but also just a poison exploder for Dragon and other such things. And then honestly, honorable mention to I think it's Tuskor, there we go. And I think it's Uzol of the Jade, but the couple of champions who really either have access to a lot of extra turns or benefit substantially from getting extra turns. And then Quilcha here, honestly, I think he's gotten a little bit better just because he's meant to counter Armands, and nowadays Armands are more likely to be in one turnstone skin and something else. So you're still at the disadvantage where if anyone else on the team, like you're talking about this move here, where you can just ignore defense basically and block damage. But if you're taking him strategically into an Armand's team, he tries to steal your turn meter, the passive activates, you get an instant turn effectively, then you come in. If he's in one turnstone skin, you can just kill the Armands and then potentially kill someone else, because it also attacks if the initial target is killed, which they should be because he took a turn, therefore they can't be reaction or anything like that. He would attack the nuker, so he could just take out two people for the price of one. But if the nuker happens to be in stone skin, then this will be ineffective because of course they're going to be slower than Armand. So grain of salt there. But nonetheless, like I said, Armand's, he's less so nowadays in two-turn stone skin, so you're not just going to wail or shoot your shot into stone skin with that ability. Then when it comes to the epic, we're continuing on the nuker train. There's a good mix of useful ones. Like Geomancer is not really a traditional nuker, but of course he's still regarded as one of the best epics in the game. Mr. Rider Dahi, super versatile, extra turns everywhere, decreased defense, AoE, and a decent amount of damage as well. Zargala is another debuffer. Thylesi is another debuffer, so these are your epic decreased defense options. Neldor is great for hard mode Fire Knight with the freezes on the A1 synergy there, decreased speed, decreased attack as well. Allure, the queen of single target turn meter suppression, so great for old school Fire Knight as well as Dark Fae. Then you have Fanax with one of the strongest hitting A1s in the game with the block revive. I guess he's similar to Raph in that regard, but different affinities, and Raph is a little bit more survivable potentially. And then Farrakhan the Fat, obviously the best epic ally attack champion in the entire game. So about 60% chance that if you get an epic, that you're going to get a decent champion out of this in terms of the selection here. Now, as is the current standard for these summon pools, it's going to cost you 40 fragments to get the equivalent of one shard, and the breakdown for the odds is 6% chance for a legendary, i.e. it's basically a sacred shard, 94% chance for an epic. And I always like to highlight this, that means that if you're just going for the air quotes free summon, there's a 94% chance. I mean, most of the time you're going to get an epic out of this, so don't worry if you don't get a legendary on every single one. That would be statistically unlikely. So most of the time you are going to get an epic, and again, the epics are pretty decent in this regard, depending on who you have already, but the legendaries are not a bad selection either. In terms of that free summon that we talked about, there is a Gear Ascension tournament going on right now, so if you work your way all the way up at least to 12,000 if you're more in the end game, I think it is maybe as low as 6,000, maybe 9,000, depending upon where you are, your player level, and how far you progressed into the game. But nonetheless, you're gonna have to spend a decent amount of energy to get all the way out there, farming the Sand Devil and or the Shogun's Grove. So that may or may not be in your wheelhouse. Now, I will say, as you can tell there, potentially, that I have a few points, but that was because I had the advanced quest. I think it was farmed Phantom Shogun's Grove 3 times, so I did that, and I got 300 points, I guess. But yeah, definitely not my focus this time around. I find it very difficult. I mean, let me know in the comment section down below if you guys agree, but I personally find it difficult because I go for every fusion and every Titan event to do these mid-event, summon pools, just because I don't have the 6,000-ish energy to spare to focus on this in 3 days when I'm also working on Fusion or a Titan event, and those require energy as well. I'd have to burn a bunch of gems for a chance to get some champions. In most cases that I have majority of them, I'll talk about that when we get back to the pool. But yeah, it's just I find it difficult to kind of do that. I would love for some of these, it's rare, but I'd love for some of these to be in between all of these major events, Fusions and Titan events, and then I might be more enticed to participate. But of course, it also depends on who the offerings are. So in my case, I'm not going for this one. However, there are a decent amount of people, I think, especially after the nerf news, I do think it's an overreaction, but there are a lot of people that are just, on principle saying, I'm not going to go for the Fusion. So if you're not going for the Fusion at all, you don't care about the Fusion events, then this is definitely a good shot to get some decent nukers. From the legendary selection, I do know that a fair amount of people did end up going for Raph in his guaranteed event, so you might not see as much value in trying to pursue a second copy. I mean, it could be useful for Faction Guardians, could be useful for, eventual empowerment, depending on how you want to look at it. But for the rest of the pool, honestly, you are looking at a mix of or a couple of Fusion champions. And like I said, just in my personal case, I have a Rotos, I have Thor and Crocat, of course, they're Fusions. And then I went for Balar the Lost and it's guaranteed. So the only one that I would really be interested in, maybe, it would be the Cheshire Cat. And then maybe Quilcha for the reasons I kind of described a little bit earlier. But in most cases, I have most of the champions in the summon pool. I've been playing for nearly 5 years. So I have a lot of champions that I've accumulated. So a lot of the offerings aren't as enticing to me as they may be to someone who's more progressing in the mid game, into the late game. But yeah, that is going to do it for the free-to-play review of the Savage Summon Pool 2 for 2025. Let me know in the comment section down below, what is your plan relative to this summon pool? Are you going to go for the air quotes free summon and try your shot? Or, well, I guess first of all, did you go for Raphael? And if you didn't, then are you more interested in trying your luck in this summon pool? Because the odds are decent, but not great, that you might just pop out of your air quotes free summon. Then you can also let me know in general what your plan is relative to this summon pool. As always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help out the channel. And feel free to hit that subscribe button down below if and only if you're enjoying the content overall on the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching and have a good one.